Hi everyone. I'm feeling a bit crap, as you can probably hear from my voice and see from this. We just got back from Phnom Penh on Saturday, and I've had all of the symptoms that people look for COVID. So I just thought I'd tell you about what's been happening. So we got there on Saturday last week on the 5th of September, and that was all fine. We met with lots of people, did lots of things. Like, that's why I'm so concerned, is that we've just met with so many people in that week that we were down there. So I started to experience the symptoms on Friday the 11th, which was our last full day in Phnom Penh. And I was really just exhausted. Didn't have any symptoms other than that, so I continued as normal. I met with people from the Phnom Penh office of my work, so as luck would have it, unfortunately all 5 of the staff that work at that office happened to be there that day and not in the field, as they often are. So I spent an extended amount of time there, and then on Saturday we had a private car back to Siem Reap, which we shared with obviously the driver and another guy that responded to a Facebook post that I put up saying that we had an extra seat going. So on Saturday, in the car ride, I just felt like, I don't know, just like I had a really bad hangover, even though I hadn't been drinking. That's what it felt like. Just tired, exhausted, headache, just pretty ordinary like that. And on Saturday night, started to feel the fever coming on, aches and pains, and during that night I woke up a lot coughing. So the fever came first, then I had coughing after that. And then on the Sunday, I woke up feeling even worse. I think so far Sunday's been the worst day that I've had. I had the fever, I had chills, I had sweating, just alternating between being too hot and too cold. Extreme lethargy. I would just sort of sleep for 8 hours and just, with having done nothing to warrant that kind of exhaustion. So, excuse me, on Sunday at about 10:30, we went to Neak Tep Clinic, which is in Siem Reap. It's on the high school road, so it's on the northern side of the city. I've been there before because it's where you go for ACE for your health check, the one that they need in order to organise your work permit. So we knew that they speak English there, and it's recommended generally in a lot of the forums when people ask for places to go. Excuse me. So we went there, and I'll say we arrived there about 10:30, and we were there for an hour. In that time, the nurses took my details, and then they do your blood pressure, your temperature, and check your weight. They write all of those things down, give it to the doctor, and then the doctor will see you. And then the doctor asked me a few more questions about how long I'd have symptoms and things. I asked him directly if I could have a COVID test, and he said, because when he listened to my chest, there was nothing there, then he wouldn't do it, or he wouldn't recommend that I have it done. But it probably doesn't matter anyway, because the test for COVID is completely kind of separate to seeing a doctor. That you can just go and have a test if you're willing to pay the money, which I found out later, but we'll get to that. So yes, Neak Tep Clinic. So arrived at 10:30, had the test done by the nurses, saw the doctor. They pretty much always, from what I've heard people say, they pretty much always recommend a blood test, which you have done just in the lab that they have upstairs. So I went upstairs, had that done, went and sat back down. They do the results then and there. And I went back in, saw the doctor. He talked me through the results, also gave me a printout of the results, which is really good. You can go and explore them in your own time and look up what the different things are and what the ranges are. So the blood test showed an infection in my body, but nothing more than that. So I was still none the wiser about what kind of infection it was. He seemed to think that it was just a flu, just a normal seasonal flu. But I mean, and that's quite possible because for the last 10 years or so that I've been working at the university in Australia, I've had access to the flu vaccination as part of the work program, and always taken up that option. And so I haven't had the flu for a very long time. So I guess it, I don't know, kind of makes some sort of weird sense that I'd be particularly susceptible. I don't know, my own whacked out science in my head's not functioning as well as it might right now. Yeah, so then he prescribed some tablets, which they sorted out. So we've got those here. See, there's some there. I don't know what they are. They're little orange ones. And some of these ones as well. These are just stock standard paracetamol and codeine, but they certainly knock me around a fair bit, those ones. Yeah, especially since as of today I can't taste anything. I've lost my sense of smell and sense of taste. Last night I still had lots of coughing through the night, sweating and shivering, that sort of nice stuff. Today I think I felt physically worse. I had a lot more sort of aches and pains in my back, but I wasn't mentally as foggy as I was on Saturday or on Sunday. So I don't know whether that's better or worse, but yeah. So today we went out and had the COVID test, and the rest of the day I just slept. I don't quite know how I'm managing it, but I just go to bed and sleep, just hours and hours on end. It's really strange. So from here, yeah, so we've got some footage of, oh yeah, so what happened was, I asked the HR people at my work to help me sort out the COVID test. They tell me where to go and what to do. So they sent me to the provincial hospital, and we went there, and it was just kind of, as you'd expect, like a seething mass of people there for all sorts of things, and no kind of mention of COVID or anything like that. So I lined up at the desk. Jeremy took some footage of that, lined up at the counter, told them that I wanted a COVID test, and a bit of backwards and forwards. They showed me on the map where it was. And I had heard other people say that the COVID testing was in a primary school that's situated on Charles de Gaulle, which is which is the road between Siem Reap and Angkor Wat. So that's where we went. They test from, I think, 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning, and then again from 2 to 4 or something in the afternoon. So we got there at the tail end, so it was about, I don't know, 10 past 10 by the time we started the process. So there was a bit of backwards and forwards, lots of yellow tape around the place. Like it kind of looked the part. As soon as we got there, we thought, okay, this is where we're supposed to be, because it had lots of areas cordoned off, people standing at different, spaced out as they're supposed to for COVID, and people in the full hazmat suits and all the rest of it. So we were chatting to another guy there. Like, all of the people there were people that have just flown in from overseas, and they're doing their quarantine in Siem Reap. So they flew into Phnom Penh, had their first test, which was negative. Everybody on their flight must have tested negative. Then they're free to go and complete the rest of the 14-day period wherever they choose, whether it be in a hotel or an apartment or whatever. So the people that were there for their second test. So they were a little bit surprised when I turned up, because they didn't really have a process in place, I guess, because pardon me, it's very rare for someone to just turn up and say they want a COVID test. They didn't excuse me, they didn't have capacity to take the payment, from what I understood. So they've taken my phone number and everything, but they said that tomorrow morning I have to go out to the Ministry of Health or Department of Health, I'm not sure which, out on Road 60. There's a cluster of ministerial buildings, ministerial offices. So we had to go out there and find the right one, locate this guy, and get the result. I would hope, though, that if it was a positive result, they would call me, because you'd really want people to have the least amount of exposure to me as possible if I was positive. I don't know whether I am positive or not. As I said, it's been so long since I've had a flu that kind of don't have any recent memory to call on about what it's like. But I've been reading, obviously, a lot of things on the internet about symptoms and people's experience, and it seems to match what I have. If I don't have it, fantastic. I'm just concerned about the people that I might have put in danger when I met with them on Friday and the days before that when I was asymptomatic, I suppose, and all of the people that there's just no way we could even begin to do the contact tracing for people that we interacted with in that time. There were just so many. Yeah, so that's where we're at. I'll check it again tomorrow once I get the results of the test, whether that be by phone or by going out there. But was certainly an experience, and thanks for watching. I don't feel too bad at the moment, and hopefully next time I add to this, because I won't put this up until I know the outcome of the test. Hopefully it'll be all clear and everything will be fine. Okay, thanks very much. I'll see you soon. I forgot to say that the main reason I decided to get a COVID test was because there are so many reports of people in Phnom Penh escaping from quarantine or not doing the correct quarantine. So it just seemed like the safest thing to do, just because it was possible that I'd had contact with somebody who hadn't quarantined properly, potentially been exposed to COVID. What's interesting was just in the news yesterday, there was a report of, I think, 42 monks developing flu-like symptoms in Battambang, and the government has decided to test those for COVID. So there must be some concern that they could have had access or could have had contact with the virus, which is quite strange when you read that in the context of the rest of the reporting that's been done around COVID here. This is lining up at the counter at the provincial hospital. You can see there's people lying on mats on the floor, people with injuries, drips, all sorts of things going on. This is the correct place to come for the COVID test in Siem Reap. It's out on Charles de Gaulle, just about opposite the Le Méridien Hotel. This is all the samples from that morning being packed up into the foam box to be sent off to the lab for testing. And after they've sealed the box, they wrap it about 3 times in blue bags, and they spray each layer of the blue bag with sanitizer. It's like a reverse game of pass the parcel. It's the Department of Health, where you have to come to pick up your results for the COVID test the next day. They don't ring you or anything, you just have to come out here and ask for them. It's in this kind of group of new buildings where all the provincial departments are. I suppose it makes sense to have them all out here, all out of the way on Road 60. So as you can see, the place where you go to get your results is neither close to the provincial hospital nor the place where you go to get the test itself. So they're 3 completely different locations, which makes things quite confusing for people to know where they're supposed to go at each part of the process, especially when there's no signage or anything like that to help you navigate your way around these places. Not to worry, we managed, and pleased to say that my result was negative. When you get to the Provincial Department of Health, you go up to the first floor because there's nothing happening on the ground floor, not because there's a sign telling you that you should go up to the first floor. When you get up there, you'll see a cardboard box with some cash in it and a stack of papers. It's basically the money where you pay for your test results, and the results are there in the green folder. It's about as low tech as you can get, but that's how it's done, and that's how you get your results here in Siem Reap. If you're coming into Siem Reap after you've had your first COVID test in Phnom Penh, the process is going to be the same. So I'll just run through the 3 locations again, the first being the Provincial Hospital, which has absolutely nothing to do with any of the process. So please don't bother going there, no matter what anyone tells you. The next location is where you actually have your test, on Charles de Gaulle to the north of the city, and then the final location is to the east, where you go to get your results the next day. Thanks for bearing with me and putting up with my sick voice. It's been really great to find out my result was negative. I'm absolutely delighted that I haven't put anybody else at risk, so really good news there. If you have any questions about the process, please feel free to ask them, and I'll do my best to answer you. As always, check out the links down below, and like and subscribe if you feel that way inclined. Thanks.